everybody. I'm here today to talk to you about 7 hardships that new drivers deal with all the time. If you're a new driver, chances are you're dealing with all of these hardships all the time. Let's get right into the video. Number 1 is being on the road with very experienced drivers altogether, okay? So essentially, there's no graduation of being on the road, with regards to different levels of driving experience. Brand new drivers are on the road with experienced drivers. They're grouped together. So you can get literally a first day licensed driver along with a 50-year experienced driver, okay? So someone who's been driving for 50 years can be beside a first day driver. So that's a hardship because you're grouping them together, and yes, there's no real solution to this, but it is a problem and it's a hardship. I wouldn't say it's a problem, but it's a hardship. It's kind of like they're just being thrown into the water kind of thing, okay? That's the idea, figuratively, of course, okay? Number 2 is being underestimated. Believe it or not, a lot of new drivers are way better than experienced drivers. I have seen my fair share of horrible experienced drivers, and I have seen my fair share of great new drivers. Now, they're all underestimated. Any 16, 17, 18-year-old that just got their license is going to be grossly underestimated by everyone around them, unfortunately. Except for people like myself, because I've seen it enough times where I know they can be good, that I judge their skill level instead of their age level, okay? But new drivers are oftentimes completely underestimated. Sometimes it's a matter of caution, just because, people might be worried because they're new, and that's totally understandable. But other times it's just a matter of almost like, to a certain degree, discrimination, thinking that they're bad just because they're new, okay? Now, obviously they don't have experience, but it doesn't make them a bad driver, okay? Don't underestimate their skill level. Maybe understand their lack of experience level, but don't underestimate their skill level, okay? Number 3, overestimating their own skill level. Believe it or not, a lot of new drivers, they get underestimated by other people, but then they overestimate themselves. I've been in this situation when I was 16, I got my license, and literally I thought I was like, yeah, that's it. I'm the boss. I'm the king. No. I was a new driver, okay? Literally, I was nowhere close to being an amazing driver or at the skill level that I thought I was at, okay? Yes, other people probably underestimated my driving skill level, but I thought I was up here. Other people thought I was down here. In reality, you're somewhere in the middle, okay? That's the way I like to think about it. Number 4, high insurance premiums, okay? I don't want to say the number because I don't remember the exact number, but when I was 16, I got my license when I was 16. I worked hard to buy my own car, and I bought my own car. It was $1,000. I paid $1,000 for it at 17 years old, okay? So literally, I was still a kid, okay? And my insurance was astronomical to the point where I was working 40 hours a week throughout high school just to pay for insurance and gas. It didn't even contribute to the car. I had already saved for the car. Literally, my entire checks were going to insurance and gas. It was absolutely ridiculous. And most drivers face this when they're a new driver, but it is what it is. And then your insurance comes down as you get older and as you gain experience. So, you got to deal with it. And then once you put in your time, your insurance comes down. Most of the time, if you have a clean record and if you're a great driver, okay? Number 5, potentially not having their own car, okay? So, new drivers, they might get their license, but most likely they're not going to have their own car. And some new drivers aren't even going to have access to a car to drive at all. And the only issue with not having access to any car to drive is that you start to lose some of your driving experience, okay? In the sense of your skills. If you don't use them, you lose them. Now, so you might, when the time comes that you do get a car to drive, if it's been several months or several years, you might want to take a driving refresher course, just an hour or something, just to brush up on your skills with a licensed driving instructor. That's what I would recommend. Now, like I said, I worked my rear end off to buy my first $1,000 car, and I continue working my rear end off to pay for the insurance and the gas and the maintenance. I did all myself, okay? So I'm not speaking as if everyone should have their own car. I truly don't believe that every new driver should just get a car. Work hard, and when you can afford a car, you buy it. It's as simple as that. But I was fortunate enough that even when I didn't have my own car, I had access occasionally to my parents' vehicles, to the point where, you know, one night a week or 2 nights a week, I would be able to take one of their vehicles for an hour or two to do an errand or something, and that allowed me to keep my driving skills brushed up, okay? But, you know, it is a hardship that new drivers face, potentially not having their own car, or I should say, potentially not having access to a drivable car that they can use, okay? Number 6, being distracted by the novelty of driving. And I have a huge smile on my face because I can vividly remember I just got my license, and like any excuse to drive, I would take. And most people are like this. It's like literally like, oh man, what, you need bread? Okay, yeah, give me I'll be back. I'm gonna go to the grocery store. And I drive to the grocery store, I drive around the block about 30 times, and then I come home with a loaf of bread. So like any excuse that I could get to get behind the wheel, I took. Most people are like that. But obviously it is a hardship because, you know, you might get into trouble in that way because you're driving unnecessarily and you're super duper excited, okay? Lastly is number 7, which is not having been in any wow situations yet. And a wow situation is a dangerous situation, a close call in driving. And unfortunately, you know, as bad as they are, they're a good learning scenario, because once you've been in a close call once, you're probably going to be really avoidant of that same close call again. So if you're a new driver, you haven't been in any of these, like, oh my gosh, that person like almost hit me, one of those situations, right? So you're going to be naive in the sense of you're going to think that's not going to happen. Like, why would someone rear end me at a red light until it happens? You're like, that wouldn't happen. Yeah, well, guess what? It just did. Okay. So that's the idea here. Like, oh, why would someone run a red light across? Oh, well, guess what? It just did. So things happen, and as you experience them, you become more cognizant of the fact that they might happen. And a new driver won't have that cognizance just yet. It won't be fully there, okay? So that is a hardship. So that's basically it. Those are 7 hardships that new drivers deal with all the time. You know, believe it or not, new drivers, they don't have it easy, okay? So go easy on them, and, you know, understand that they deal with these hardships on a daily basis, pretty much. So go easy on them. Make sure they're safe, but you know, keep these hardships in mind and the fact that they're dealing with them all the time. Okay, especially the underestimation one, because that's one of the worst ones. Like, someone could score perfect on a driving test, and there could be like a garbage experienced driver next to them, and you're gonna think the person who's been driving for 50 years is better just because they've been driving for longer. Trust me, that's not always the case, okay? Experience and skill level are they go hand in hand, but they are 2 different things. Don't forget that. So that's it. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment, and of course, be sure to subscribe for more great videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.